almost like the Flashpoint, where it starts, one of the key matrix lines that will help shatter this status centralized system.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Jay-Z here with Flashpoint Radio. Thank you for joining me. It is August 24th, 2012, a Friday. It's been a while since I've been on the air, and well, it feels good to be back. Earning Federal Reserve dollars and taking care of a newborn can overwhelm your time. So it's good to be back. I hope to be bringing you regular coverage, possibly 3 days a week, scaling back to a Monday, Wednesday, Friday type situation. But we will try to get you the news, try to get you the information, try to get you prepared as best I can. We want you looking for those flashpoints. And, well, I believe the most obvious flashpoint on the horizon is the economy, globally and domestically. And so we dedicate every Friday here on Flashpoint Radio to the financial industry. We look at where your money's going, what it's doing, how it's being spent, how it's being wasted, what you can do, basically pointing you in the right direction to get the real information that might help you protect some of your assets for when the collapse comes. Because at the end of our program today, you will see that collapse probably will be coming. We're going to start this evening with an Infowars.com article by Suzanne Posel. She's been covering the Sentinel Management Group lawsuit that was settled just last week. Well, you should read into it. She's got some good articles on it, and this is her headline. Customer deposits are property of the bank. Close your account now. Read it over. Turns out that a judge or the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that a bank was due its money over depositors, customers' money that this management group had. So it stole this money from customers, combined it with their money that they were investing themselves, and now the customers, who usually would be first in line when a bankruptcy happens or assets are divided, they are getting jumped over by the big banks. In this case, Bank of New York Mellon. Look into it. It has a possibility to set precedents when it comes to customer accounts. And that might mean you, especially if you've got a good amount of money invested in a brokerage firm. The rules seem to be changing. But let's look at some good news. Well, I wish it was good news. No, let's look at some bad news. From NPR.org, jobless claims rose slightly last week. Jobless claims were up 4,000 from the week before and about almost 10,000 over the estimate. So things continue to look like they're headed down the wrong road. And a blog that you can follow to see where that road is going, the economiccollapseblog.com, puts together a lot of good articles, does a ton of research. He says here, more than half of all Americans are at least partially dependent on the government. When you add in Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, welfare, food stamps, WIC, then you look at government contracts, you look at military, you look at all of those private corporations that rely almost solely on government subsidies, the farming industry. Yeah, a lot of Americans are dependent on the government. And guess what? The government is out of money. So when the government runs out of money, they're not going to be able to hire these companies, in turn, these employees. Prepare yourself. If your company gets a bulk of its work from the government, prepare yourself economically. Look for an exit to find yourself another job before everyone else does. Stay abreast of the news. We'll move along to the Washington Times. Deferring on budget no longer an option, CBO says. Choices on taxing spending grim. The Congressional Budget Office says that we're flirting with the possibilities of a double-dip recession. That would be true if we ever came out of the first recession, if this wasn't just one really big, long depression. We are in a period of stagflation where nothing goes up, nothing goes down. The rich are getting richer, institutional traders, but everyone else is basically staying at the same place while inflation is going up. lessening the buying power of your dollar bills. No. Double dip recession? I don't think so. The Greatest Depression? Yeah. Unfortunately, I think that is what is coming. And well, the GOP, the Republicans, planning for their national convention this Monday down in Tampa, have put out this handout, this morsel for the Ron Paul supporters. Republicans, I return to gold standard from CNBC. Yes, part of the National Republican platform now is a return, or at least a look at returning to the gold standard of some sort of hard-backed currency. No doubt to appease the Ron Paul supporters, those that are actually active in the political contest, in the political arena, doing their own research, becoming educated, and then making educated decisions and passing that knowledge on to others, not just watching, well, a cable news network and repeating what they say. Yes, they have thrown us a scrap of a return to the gold standard. Well, I'll say it's a hollow gesture, considering Ronald Reagan in 1981 had a gold commission too. That 10 years after Richard Nixon got us off the gold standard, they did another report. They had another blue ribbon panel maybe, and they found that we were going to stay with the status quo. Mitt Romney's number one contributor is Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs directly benefits from the Federal Reserve's loose money policy. I don't think they're going to allow anything to happen to the central banking system in this country. The Federal Reserve will continue to print your dollar bills until the laws of economics kick them in the face, knock everything down, and the house of cards collapses, leaving you and me, the taxpayers, unfortunately holding the bag. We can still get out of this, but we have to wake up as many people as possible. Tell them to go to Infowars.com. Tons of good info. Alex Jones knows what he's talking about. He's been doing this for almost 2 decades. And another article, this time by Paul Joseph Watson, Lord Rothschild betting on euro collapse. Banking titan places $200 million short against single currency. So we had last week on Financial Friday, George Soros getting out of banking stocks and putting $130 million into gold. And now Lord Rothschild, the head of the Rothschild banking conglomerate, betting against the euro. We've been calling for a euro collapse for a long time. A lot of people have. And now it looks like the big money that actually have power in this world are getting their bets in. So the window of opportunity may be closing. They may see that horizon over which the economy collapses and they try to make more money and enact a police state. So yes, Lord Rothschild betting on a euro collapse. Maybe you should take his advice. I think he might have some inside information. And now 2 investors, 2 financial advisors who are very respected with what they think is coming. From MoneyMorning.com, Jim Rogers, it's going to get really bad after the next election. Jim Rogers gave an interview on CNBC saying he fully expects the economy to implode after the U.S. election. Rogers, who for years has been an outspoken critic of the Fed's policy of quantitative easing, says the world is drowning in too much debt. He puts the blame squarely on the U.S. and European governments for abusing their license to print money, the central banking system. Read this article, look at what Jim Rogers has predicted in the past, and then, maybe then you will listen to what he has to say. And one more expert, Mark Faber, publisher of the Gloom, Boom, and Doom report, told CNBC's Closing Bell on Thursday that the odds of a global recession are 100%. Europe is already in recession. Germany is still growing very, very slightly, but is likely to go into recession soon. Growth in the U.S. is also falling off. The U.S. economy has decelerated, and I don't see much growth in the next 6 to 12 months. Yes, Mark Faber, another man who has told a lot of rich people what to do with their money and has been right, 100% of a global recession. And I think he's understating the fact that it will be a global depression, because this is a popping of the currency bubble. This is not the .com. This is not the housing bubble. This is the currency bubble. This is what everything is built on top of. All government spending, almost all giant corporations, they are built on the central banking system and cheap money, cheap credit. It's about to come crumbling down. Do your research. Find out what you should do. But you should definitely be prepared. Food, water, supplies, guns and ammo, gold and silver. First off, food and water. What are you going to do when the trucks stop running? What are you going to do when the supermarket shelves are empty? Protect you and protect yours. And be able to help others. We're going to need each other coming up soon. Because we can't rely on the government anymore. We have to rely on each other. Jay-Z, signing off for Flashpoint Radio, saying God bless, it's good to be back, and keep your eyes to the sky.